Welcome to Anecdotes for Success with Matt and Paul. Storytelling is an art form, emphasizing the value and learning that is created through personal experience. Our purpose is to share these stories and experiences with the listener. Everyone has a powerful testimony. Let's use them to level up to our best life with truth, meaning, trade-offs, and perspective.
We did it again. I know we say this, we just kept talking and talking, and then we said, crap, we better hit record. But I got a question that's gonna touch base. Well, we were just talking a lot about when things don't go your way, how do you adjust and how do you learn from it, basically. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's way out of your control. So I'm gonna ask you a question, and I already know the answer, but I'll let you drift it from here. Have you ever failed in anything before?
No, never.
All right, podcast over. See you.
However, not would be the real question, right? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's. I was talking to a group of your students last week, and gosh, I was talking to. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. First of all, the answer, of course, is yes, many times, and it's like I know it's the thing people say, but it's so true. It's like, and that's the only way to success. It's like it's it's just so many failures on that road. Um, whether it's been sports, whether it's been school, whether it's been business. I mean, the only learning I've really done is through failure, and it's funny when people think like, well, then you must be done with it because you own this or you've done that or whatever. It's like I go, I'm going to fail so many more times, and throughout my life, it's going to be countless, but I have a totally different perspective on what that looks like and what it means. But when I was in Miami, story I was going to tell, I was remember I was talking about my Ben and Jerry story just a few minutes ago. Well,
Yeah.
me and Madison were leaving Ben and Jerry's, and she was in a stroller, and I was walking her down the sidewalk. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. There was a father and a son sitting at a table outside down that sidewalk. It was kind of a strip mall area, and they were the only people there, and I was approaching them, just minding my own business. I overheard the son, and he was probably 25, 30 years, probably 30 years old. And the father was probably in his mid 50s, let's say. And I could see him, and the son was intently speaking to his father. And I could hear what he was saying and what was happening. And he was saying to his dad, and the reason I knew it was his dad, because he said, Dad, the only way for me forward is I have to be unafraid of failure. I have to, and he said something, he must have heard it somewhere or read it. I have to fail as fast as possible. Dad, I need to he was very passionate. I need to do this. Failure's my way to success. I'm approaching him, Paul, as he's ranting to his father about this. I don't mean ranting in a negative way, but very passionately. And his father, who's kind of his back turned to me, looked very rigid and very like, I don't, I don't like what I'm hearing, kind of thing. And I, as I approached them, I stopped right next to the table and I said, "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I agree with everything he's saying." I said to the father, and they looked at me like, "Who the heck is this guy pushing a 2-year-old in a stroller, uh, jumping into our conversation?" And they kind of looked at me like, and the son said to me, "Thank you," and then he said, "Well, what do you do? Like before I thank you, like why should we care what you think?" And I said, "Look, I really mean it. What you're saying is true." I said, "Here's a little bit about what I do. Here's my," and I told him, what I do for a living and that kind of thing. And then he turned to father and he said, "See?" and I said, "Look, you can't be irresponsible. Failing is isn't just do anything you want so you can fail and therefore you're going to somehow succeed because of it." And he knew that, and they knew that and everything, but I didn't stay long. I just said quickly that I said that was my way forward too. I had to take chances. I had to go out there and be willing to do things that made me uncomfortable. And by failing, I learned so much. And then I got smarter because of it, and that's how I was able to grow and build. But you're absolutely right. There's no way forward without failure. And then I walked away, and for all I know, they fought and never went anywhere. But I don't think that's what happened. But
No, I listen, it's exactly what I wanted to hear. And before you got on today, that made me think of this topic. I was watching, I have a weird algorithm on my phone. All of a sudden, uh, the 2018 NCAA basketball tournament when Virginia for the first time lost to the 16 seed UMBC.
yeah,
First time I'm watching the game. And the reason the next year, Virginia wins the whole thing.
yeah, that's right.
So those epic failure win moments, and the reason I'm bringing this up because it's not a one-time thing. Sure, I mean they lose to the 16 seed next year they win, but there's a lot going on in that culture to be able to do that. And all those people, most of them are probably all done playing basketball. I mean, I don't track who
Yeah,
made the NBA or not, but they're all living that culture in their lives and
yeah.
failing forward continuously. They didn't just say, remember the one time I fell, then the next year I had an epic win, and then life was over. That's like a Disney movie. But in real life, they're repeating that process, but they have no fear of it now.
Yeah, Paul, I know. And that is as I've gotten older, the thing without question I love about sports is that that idea that success and those learning moments lead to different types of actions and culture building that isn't one season, it's a lifetime. And the cultures that come from that are built and it's like a ripple. It's like a ripple of, across the pond of all the people it impacts and affects. And those types of things are that's the value in it. Like you said, that team probably learned the lessons they learned and the changes they probably made. And whether it's in how hard they practice or their workouts or their faith in each other or whatever it is. And I mean those things become lifetime lessons and lead to upward failure, right? And then all of a sudden you go and you're selling insurance, right? The starting point guard is now selling insurance, for instance, and he's the first one at the office, right? The last one to leave, and whatever. I'm obviously making
Right.
all of this up, but those are the lessons, and those are the things that go on a lifetime. And before you know it, he's the top salesperson and making this, wonderful living, and making sure his kids are up in the morning and first and working out and all these things go on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best part of it. And the fear is what keeps most people away. It's the problem I have with a lot of my honor students at the program I teach at. I joke with them all the time. They get so bent out of shape if they don't get a 98 on something or
Yeah, yeah,
95 on something. And you know what I tell them? Well, apparently, though you're not challenging yourself. Like, what's a test? How's a test going to transpire into the real world? How successful you're going to be?
yeah.
So, you know
That's a
what?
good point.
Because we're going, I told you you're coming with us. We're going to the Golisano Institute
Yep.
2 weeks. And I go to those kids. You go back to your home school and you tell your teacher you hope they don't have a problem with you missing class because there's nothing you're going to miss that day that's not going to be better than what you're going to see at this
Yeah.
institute.
Yep.
Challenge them, say, give me a 0. I don't even care because I'm going to learn something. But they're scared to death to say that. And I'm joking a little bit. I would never disrespect another educator like that. But
Well, of
but come
course.
on, let's get some perspective with failure and challenges and what we want to accomplish in life.
Paul, that's a great point that I haven't given a lot of thought to. If you're getting a 98 or 100 in everything, every class and everything you do, there's an unhealthy part of that. It's like you said, one, you're like no one's that good in everything. Just they're
Right.
not. They're not. And then the minute you face failure out there, and you're gonna, you crumple, like some pixie sticks. You're not built for it because you've never had it. If you're getting whatever you're doing, like it's like the sports analogy. If every time you go out there and score 50 points and your team wins, guess what? You're in the wrong league because you're not growing now, right? There's no growth in that.
Yeah, and remember, I mean, again, sometimes I mean, the way education works, it's hard to differentiate instruction for 30 people or 20 people. Like you're going to fly through what the curriculum is. Uh, but, there's ways you could get challenged. And in sports, coaches treat different players different ways and try to figure out what motivates you. And you have to be harder on the leaders. It's just the way it goes, right? And it's going to be the same way in the business world. But it's almost impossible to create if people have never been through that.
Yeah.
You're just better off finding new people that can do it.
Yeah, well, and I'm not picking on someone who gets a 98 and all their scores. What I'm saying is, are they out there trying other things,
Right.
sports, music, whatever, other hobbies that make that they're not they're not always the best at. They're not always quote unquote successful at. Although I wouldn't say you're not successful if you're not getting, achieving a certain thing. And that's what I would fear is that inability to put yourself in a position where you're not always getting that, 98 in whatever you're doing.
Well, you summed it up best. You said it's unhealthy. You didn't say
Yeah.
it's bad they're getting a 98. Of course, they're putting in the work in different ways, but it can be unhealthy.
It can be unhealthy. You've got to have, and fortunately for me, and I mean this, in most things I've had to work. Like things didn't come natural for me that just allowed me to achieve, like I know plenty of people who are like, I had a 98 average from high school, but I never studied a minute in my life, and I go, my gosh, back there was a time I would have thought that person was fortunate, and now I know better.
Right. Well, and so when it comes to failing, you said fail fast. I was going to use the word fail forward. I
Yeah.
mean, but the whole point of it all is it's failure's first attempt in learning under real world experience. And it's okay to reframe stuff when you build an awareness of what the big picture is. Like if you lose a championship game, it's not all right. It stinks. It hurts more than getting ousted a month earlier in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But that's the time to reflect and say, but look at all I did to get there. Only
Yeah.
two people can do it. And the people that learn from failure reframe it all the time and they learn about all the successful processes that got them to that optimal point. And then do you want to go for it again the next year? Of course you do, because anything that's not guaranteed in life is worth going for, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. There's
it's
a
okay to be
purpose and the
open about
meaning in
it's
it,
okay
right?
to be open about that.
Yeah.
And whether it's the business world or whether it's school or sports or family, I think people give up too easy.
I There's no question about it. If they even get started in the most, because like you said, of the fear in itself. I mean, I think there's certainly that they give it up too easy. But what I see more often is the never starting, the never trying, because I'm so used to getting 98s and everything I do. I know if I do this over here, I'm probably not going to succeed to the level I expect, and well, I just won't try. If I'm not going to get my 98, then or whatever, then I just won't try. Or the one I see more than anything is I'm gonna do it. I'm just waiting for the kids to graduate, or I'm just waiting for that next raise, or I'm just waiting, for my wife's gonna retire 5 years early, and then I'm gonna go for it because, or
Yeah.
whatever. It's always that, and that's a trap I see more than any.
Well, yeah, I mean, I deal with it all the time now with what Stacy and I have been doing, and people they're ready to give up and not work ever again, yet alone try something and fail. I don't even
Oh,
understand.
right.
Like, why would you live half your life and then not try anymore because you think you're on easy street?
Whatever, I was reading a book, Paul, on that, and I was not on that, but I was reading a book. It was a religious book a friend of mine gave me. And know what it said? It's a short little book, but and it's I don't know how old, but old, way older than I am, way older than you are. And it says that the whole point of the book is stop chasing happiness. It's about a meaning and a purpose in your life. And I mean, it's like I said, this isn't new age stuff. This is hundreds, if not thousands of years old, these stories in it. And it's all about meaning, purpose, something,
Right.
something to do. And it specifically is saying stop trying to chase happiness. And now we've been talking about this for years together,
Yeah.
right? I just read this book this past week. So this book did not influence, our discussions on this up until now. But I sat there and I just thought, I mean, this is a tale as old as time. This 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 chasing of happiness that people think that they want. It's a fool's errand. It's not, the meaning, the purpose. I was watching the 49ers played the Browns the other day. Um, and that wide receiver for the 49ers, Ricky Pearsall, who got shot, lucky to be alive, a couple of years ago. I saw an interview with him, and I think he's 24 right now, 24 years old, something. The interview asked him a question. He said, "It's changed my life. Now all I know is I just want to live to be happy." And I wanted to grab him and shake him and say, "Ricky, no, that's not you're you have a bigger message. You have a meaning and a purpose that you can share with people. That I mean, surviving this thing had to be life changing for him. I can only imagine what he could do with that. Not to mention, you're a professional football player in the National Football League. You've got a lot of things that you've got. I don't care how talented you are. You've done a lot of things right, and that message. There's so much to offer, and I just
You naturally have a crowd that will listen to you.
exactly, and I want to say use that platform to tell people like you know it's not if you get up every day, making every decision to be happy, I'm afraid where it leads. And that's a lot of what this book is about. And I can't think of the name of it. I'm like, doesn't matter. I'll look it up. But um, that's again, it's these things just resonate with me.
Yeah, well, again, if it's done right when you fail, you're only going to be such a better person in the end game. You're going to learn to adjust, you're going to learn resilience, you're going to learn strength and courage and how to handle hard better and all that stuff we talk about. And you're going to find that's where the meaning and purpose is, and it's fun. You know,
Yes.
one of my favorite quotes is from A League of Their Own, where when Dottie wants to quit because her husband came back from the war, and Tom Hanks looks at her and she goes, "It just got too hard." And he goes, "It's supposed to be hard. The hard is what makes it great."
I know it's such a simple thing, it's things like that are like that should be posted everywhere. That should be post. That's what people should be saying. They shouldn't be doing TikTok dances. They should. Go ahead to your TikTok dances, but like those are the things. Those are the messages that should be out there.
Yeah,
Instead, the message is, you know, drive a fancy car and wear fancy jewelry and those are the things that matter or how do I work as I've got a friend, how do I work as little as possible and get the things I want, and I'm
you
going,
don't.
where's that culture come from? That it'd be one thing, Paul, if I thought if that worked for people and I just was like different, I was like, hey, I'd rather not. I have a different philosophy, but their philosophy definitely works. Like that doesn't work. Doesn't work long term.
Not sustainable, no. Not
No.
sustainable at all. And again, I've said we sound like broken records. Most people I know that retire, what do they end up doing? They end up getting some little job. I don't even know if it's what they want to do, but it gives them some type of purpose. Well, why not try to create something that you've been dreaming of?
Yeah. Most people do hopefully find that something that gets them out of bed and gets them going and does some things for them. We've got a family member who's retiring on Friday actually, and uh, she's 59. She's got a lot of life to live, and my biggest concern for her is what are you going to do? And she's healthy and has some things, family wise that I think will give her purpose and a meaning.
Right.
So I'm excited for that to see that how that goes. But I'm not going to pretend I'm not concerned about it because I would not just for her, for anyone. Um, and I was I was talking to a guy Sunday. I had a meeting Sunday at 3 o'clock. Can you believe it? I actually worked. Yeah, I actually had a meeting on a Sunday. I know, hard to believe. Because
You're supposed to be too deep at a bar by 3 o'clock. Come
yeah,
on.
I talked to a couple people on my way to that meeting. They're like, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm on my way to a meeting." They're like, "It's Sunday." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I know. Believe it or not, you know." Anyway, I was talking to this gentleman who, by the way, drove 4 hours one way for this meeting, and he's 69. I think he told me he'll be 70 soon, and very successful in the real estate business. And I said to him when we were wrapping up, I go, "Hey, by the way, what's the future for you? Where you headed?" Because he mentioned his age. He goes, "Matt, I've never been better at what I do. Why would I stop?" He goes, "I'm way smarter, way more experienced, failed way more, succeeded way more, accomplished way more at 69 than I did at 23 when I started." He goes, I've been doing this 46 years. Why would I stop?" He goes, "I love this." And I just said to him, I wish I could bottle that and feed that to other people. Um, he goes, "Oh yeah, I know all too well." He goes, he goes, "I look at you." He goes, you'll never stop working." I go, "No, I know." He goes, "You'll do it more on your own terms, but you'll never stop." I go, "No, why would I stop? This is what I love to do. It's joyful. It gives me a purpose. It gives me meaning. It's something that, I'm proud of. And, same idea, but like, it's amazing that the people I run into who I view and I look up to and I see as successful. And I never hear the words, "I can't wait to retire." I never hear the words, "Hey, can you meet me on Sunday?" Them say, what do you mean that's the weekend?" Like the people like that they don't live like that. They don't live like that. So,
I I love it, and I'll end with this. It's criminal, or to me, this is where the lack of happiness comes. But you say you have a great career, you raise a family. If you can raise a family, you're handling hard as good as any business
ag-
owner.
agreed.
And that's your meaning and purpose, and that's
Yeah,
awesome. I mean, the world would be a better place if everybody did that.
it would.
But what happens is if you don't learn those traits and processes and do something with them after your kids move out or after life moves on, you're never going to be happy. So you could take all that knowledge, well, like your friend was doing real estate or the guy you met with, but you have all that knowledge from raising families and a career and juggling and balancing and budgeting. And then you think when that's all gone, you're going to be happy. Like
Yeah,
it's what you do. Just
Paul.
process it and do something.
Yeah, you that I've never thought of it like that. And I'll end with this after, but I want to follow up because, like you said, if you're raising a family, you are doing the hard and the purposeful things like as much as anyone, right? Do you do you, of course you want your free time at times. You need your time away or you need to relax or whatever. But you're 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 on those trips for softball games or soccer practice or piano practice, right? Or whatever these things are. you're not saying, hey, it's Sunday, I'm not seeing my kids today, right? It's a weekend. I don't see my kid, I take the weekends off from my family obligations. No, no, you're in, is it make you happy all the time? Hell no. It's hard, right? Being a
Yep.
parent is hard. It's the most difficult thing you'll probably ever do in your life, being a parent. And guess what? There's so much meaning. And so it's, I guess what I'm getting at, Paul, is people can't understand it from the other point of view, from their career or the business they own or their job. It's like having your family. It's
Yeah.
not easy. It does. You don't track your hours, right? How many hours did you spend this week being a parent? I have no idea, right? So it's comical. You'd laugh at the idea of it.
A lot of
Whatever it
overtime.
took, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. It's the same thing. It's the
No,
same
that's
thing.
awesome.
Yeah, I
So
love it. I'm
again,
glad you brought that up. I'm using that from now on.
again, it's part of life, and not to be too cliche-ish, but how you learn from it's going to be how the rest of your life turns out.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep. Choices.
All right, Matt. Thanks.
Thank you.